And you've talked to a lot of leaders, a lot of people in and around the world. What do you say is the biggest challenge when you consistently talk to different leaders around the world? From your perspective, what's the biggest challenge that you see over and over again?
Well, COVID had a really big impact on leadership. And 50 years ago, people died to very close to where they lived and where they worked. We lived in tight knit communities. You went to the grocery store, you saw coworkers there, your boss was there. If your kids played little league, your boss probably was the coach. Went to church, you saw people there. The barber shop, you saw them there. And so we had a lot of interactions with each other. And when you have a lot of interactions with another human, you learn the nuances, the facial expressions. You learn when they're congruent, when they're incongruent. Meaning, you think of your best friend, family member, somebody you know based on a text message, what their mood is. You know what it is. Or based on the timing of their text, you know what their mood is. So those are the little nuances that really get a chance to know each other. If you remove that and say replace it with tech, which is what happened, we had advancements in transportations, communications, and travel, right? And so it was just all these advancements in all of these areas. And so we started moving further and further away from these tight knit communities with the consoling illusion that we still knew each other because we could log into a CRM or an ERP or something to say, hey, I can see where my people log in. I can see, look, my data says that everything's good, but we don't know each other. And territories started expanding. You could run a territory of 6 states and expect to know people. And what happened then, COVID shifted our values. It used to be that things like patriotism was number one and all these things were there. Then it shifted to connection and meaning at work. Back 50 years ago, the promise of work was also lifetime employment. Like, I will employ you for the rest of your life. And so, no, now it's, I want connection and meaning. And of course, some people take that to an extreme, and that's part of the change process. And so, when you think about like how that is, leaders need to learn how to tell their story to bridge that gap between what person thinks about you versus who you actually are. Because if you don't show up, my brain is forced to make up a story. And that story is going to be based on my past experience. And if I have a negative past experience with leaders or even with you, I'm going to fill it in negatively based on so I can prepare myself to what's going on. It's not because I'm a negative person, it's because I have negativity bias.
How do you get around that? How do you is there a rewiring that happens? Getting around negativity bias? Is there some exercise that I need to do, or do I need reps? Do I need muscle memory?
The only way to combat it is self-awareness because it's designed into your DNA to protect. And so I'm negative. Imagine if I didn't have negativity bias. I heard a rustling in the forest in the middle of the night. I'd go check it out instead of going, that's probably dangerous. Let me move out of the way. Now, that's a bias towards negativity. And why? Because it's smarter. I will last longer. If I like, oh, I'm going to jump out of this airplane, I'll probably die. No, I won't die. Well, no, that's why are you so negative? You might survive. There's a chance. No, no, I don't want to take that chance. Like somebody's a suspicious person down a dark alley. Our brains are designed to move away from it. And so you don't want to eliminate it, but you have to be aware of it. CNN uses the words breaking news upwards of 400 times a day.
Everything's
What?
breaking news. Everything, everything. It
Yeah.
used to be like breaking news was like,
It meant something.
we went into Iraq. That was breaking news,
Yeah.
right? You
Yep.
needed to know that was everything now, every 3 minutes is a breaking news.
Yeah, and that's what happens when they abuse of negativity bias. And so the abuse of it is now, of course, just like an abusive drug, you need more and more bigger things. We desensitize easily. And so as a leader, knowing that that's the world you got to communicate into, how do you build connection? The fastest way to build connection is tell your story. Because if you tell your story and there's a gap in our communication, my assumption is going to come from your story, not from my past experience. And if I know that your story is that you're fighting one of your kids has cancer at home and you don't show up to a meeting, I'm not going to say, oh, CEO didn't show up. He's out getting a yacht. I'm going to go, no, hold on a second. He's with his kid. But if I don't know any of that stuff, I'm going to go based on all CEOs. If I had a negative history with CEOs, I'm going to go based on that. And you're guilty by association.
Mm.
And so the biggest challenge that they face is how do they bridge that gap so they can get that benefit of the doubt in this sort of world that we've become so virtual?